Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Slash687 here, back at it again with another PC-related video today. Today I have something kind of new and strange. As you can tell, you're looking at me on an actual camera, so of course that's different and strange. But today I'm addressing a topic that I get a lot of questions about, actually, in the comment section, and it has to do with budget GPUs. Specifically, what I have right here, a GT 610. So in my more budget PC builds where I take a used PC and I put in a GTX 750, I get a lot of comments with people asking about how a lower end GPU would work in a build like that. They want to know, would it be worth it to take, if they can only afford like a GT 730 or a GT 610, something like that. They want to know if it would still be worth it to buy one of those and try throwing it into a used PC. So that's what I'm going to be looking at for you guys today. I'm going to take some benchmarks of this GT 610 right here, once I clean it up, of course, because it's extremely dirty, extremely gross looking. But once I get that cleaned up and installed, I'm going to run some benchmarks for you guys and determine once and for all, is it worth it to buy a low-end GPU when you're looking at making a first-time gaming PC? I'm kidding. You guys know I don't get down with that stereotypical gamer music. Here's the real music. I had you scared for a second. The Evga Geforce Gt 610 is a DirectX 12 GPU featuring 1GB of DDR3. That's right, DDR3. It has a core clock of 810 MHz, only 48 CUDA cores, a memory clock of 1000 MHz only. As far as video output, we have one mini HDMI port and two DVI ports. It supports a max resolution of 2560 by 1600, only requires 300 watts of power, meaning we don't need any additional power from the power supply. It's going to draw it all straight from the PCIe lane, and to cool it, it only has one measly, tiny, pathetic little fan. With the specs and cleaning out of the way, it meant there was only one thing left to do: install this thing and pump out some benchmarks, meaning I had to stay up late into the night and install this stuff and benchmark it for you, so you're welcome. Next up are the benchmarks, but keep in mind I recorded all this gameplay on the PC using the GT 610, which is not really meant for recording gameplay at all, so the footage is pretty laggy, so take it with a grain of salt. The actual performance of these games is going to be shown in the benchmarks, so like I said, take the gameplay with a grain of salt. It's all going to be laggy, but not all the games ran that bad. It's just the footage that looks terrible. The following benchmarks were taken on a PC using an i7-860 clocked at 3.2 GHz, which by today's standards isn't amazing, but it's definitely good enough to eliminate any possible bottlenecks caused by a GT 610, as well as 9 GB of DDR3 RAM. All the benchmarks were run at an 800 by 600 stretched resolution simply due to the fact that this card just cannot seem to run games at 720 or 1080p. Even less demanding titles, it still really struggled. Counter-Strike Go was a actually playable experience. We had a min of 48, an average of 66, and a max of 220 FPS at 800 by 600 on the low settings. This isn't really optimal for competitive play, but if you're just playing casually, I could definitely see playing Counter-Strike like this. It was surprisingly tolerable. I benchmarked a mix of new and old titles, and here's one of the newer titles. I benchmarked GTA 5, once again running at 800 by 600 on the low settings, and it actually was playable. I had a min of 26, average of 31, and max of 37. It's not really optimal, but you could actually play through the campaign if you really wanted to with these settings and this resolution. It really wasn't that bad. I could definitely see myself playing it if I was new to PC gaming and didn't really have the luxury of having played at 60 FPS 1080p max settings. If I was just a first-time PC gamer, I could actually play this and it wouldn't be too bad, but once again, it's not recommended. The next game, however, is a different story. I ran Battlefield 4 at 800 by 600 low settings, and it simply was not playable. We had a min of 21, an average of 26, and a max of 46. On paper, it doesn't look too bad, but the drops down to 20 or 21 were constant. The textures looked terrible. I couldn't really see more than like 30 feet in front of my character. It just was horrendous, a terrible experience, and I would not recommend playing Battlefield 4 on this GT 610. Not a good experience at all. You can see in some of these clips just how bad the detail is. I didn't edit this to look bad or anything. This is really how it looks. You really can't see in front of you. It's just not playable at all. Next up, I went to Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Oh, this should be great. This should be an easy game to run. It's only Call of Duty, right? Wrong. I ran this at 800 by 600 on low settings and had a min of 13, an average of 16, and a max of 22, simply because this game is really not optimized for lower end GPUs. Black Ops 3 has terrible VRAM leakage issues, and VRAM usage frequently spikes up to 4 gigabytes in Black Ops 3, and it really is not meant for an older card like this. Simply unplayable, not recommended at all, not one bit. Next up, I played an oldie but a goodie, Skyrim, at 800 by 600 low settings. This is usually a CPU bottlenecked game, so you think this should be able to run alright, but the GT 610 still managed to hold us back. We had a min of 22, an average of 27, and a max of 32. It was kind of playable, but it really wasn't enjoyable. You know, I couldn't play through the whole story like this. It just wasn't really optimal. It just was very sluggish, and the one of the worst parts about it was the draw distance was turned down all the way, so you couldn't really see anything until you got about 30 feet away from it, so that's another downside. I would not recommend playing this game on a GT 610. Next up, a kind of older game, but still a great game, one of my favorite FPS of all time. I went with Bioshock Infinite at 800 by 600 low settings, and this game actually ran pretty well, pretty tolerably. A min of 29, an average of 30, and a max of 31. It pretty much stuck at 30 FPS. I'm not sure if I had the lock on at 30 FPS or something like that, because there were really no settings that I had set that locked it to 30, but that's just kind of where it wanted to stay. But it was playable, not that many FPS drops, and I could actually play this game. It was pretty tolerable and really didn't look all that bad. The last game, and one of my favorite racing games of all time, Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012 at 800 by 600 low settings. This is actually playable with a min of 26, an average of 32, and a max of 40. It's definitely an older game, but it's not very well optimized, so I am surprised that this GT 610 was able to run it. It was tolerable. I could play the game on this graphics card, and at the end of the day, not that bad at all. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Is it worth it? Probably not. Probably not worth it. As you see in the benchmarks, most games will not run on the GT 610, and for the most part, just go with a GTX 750 Ti. That is only marginally more expensive, and you're getting a lot better performance, and overall, it's a lot more of an enjoyable experience. You aren't really gonna understand how great PC gaming is gaming on a GT 610. It just isn't really an accurate representation of how gaming on a PC should be. So I'd recommend, if you're thinking of buying one of these cheaper GPUs, a GT 610, a GT 730, something like that, I'd say hold back on it if you can afford to. If you can afford to save up and get a 750 Ti, without any additional power connections, that's what I would recommend. You put that into a used PC, and you got a monster of a gaming PC. You put a GT 610 into a used gaming PC, you have performance that's only marginally better, if not the same as integrated graphics. It's really not worth it, and I'd recommend holding off. So that's my advice for you. If you're looking, or even considering getting a GT 610 or any other very low-end budget graphics card, don't do it. Don't do it. It's a good backup GPU. If you just want to back up in case your main GPU breaks, this would actually be a good choice, but other than that, I don't really see the benefits. So that's going to wrap it up, guys. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to click the like button, and if you're new, be sure to subscribe, and be sure to leave a comment if you have any questions, and the beautiful men and women in the Slash Think Tank will help you out. We'll solve the world's problems, we'll build PCs like madmen, and until next time, I'll see you all later. Have a great day. Peace. Also, if you're gonna buy anything off Amazon, be sure to use my affiliate links in the description. I get a small kickback, and it helps make videos like these possible. It helps me afford to build PCs, benchmark them, and make them into real-life videos like you're seeing right now. So if you're ever gonna build a PC in one of my build guides, or if you're just looking to buy some dog food, some grass seed, or anything, go ahead and use the links in the description. Thanks, everybody. See y'all later. Peace.